Hello and welcome to the first YouTube video for Programming 2 and Object-Oriented Applications. I'm your lecturer, Ken Johnson, and I'm going to get you started on this week's lab. So let's get a copy of the lab. If you go to AUT Online and log in, then go to Programming 2 here. And then you'll notice on the left, you'll see course material. This is where you find all the lectures and all of the lab and other material that I provide for the course. We're just starting with week 1, so we have the lab located here. You can download it. Just open it. Open in a browser. So after completing this lab, you should be able to use basic Java commands for input and output and use simple Java programming constructs to write programs and become a little bit more familiar with using Eclipse to develop your object-oriented applications. So we're going to get started with that today. You are watching the video, hopefully. The AUT lab computers that you're going to be using for this lab will have the latest version of Eclipse. Just log on and go to the Start button, and you'll have to navigate some menus to Development Tools and then Eclipse. If you can't find it, the TAs will be there that will help you. So for me, it's just click on the top here, Start up Eclipse. Now you'll notice that a workspace launcher is come up and asking you for a directory for the workspace. I would recommend that you save all of your files in this directory here, H Programming 2 Week 1 Lab Workspace. I'm going to use just a local directory that I have. And you can click this box and say use this as the default and do not ask again. So every time you come into the lab, you can start Eclipse and it will just go to the workspace. So clicking on that, the workspace is going to contain all of your projects for each week. So you have a welcome screen here in Eclipse, and if you just click on the right to go directly to your workbench, you can get started. Now I typically close some of these windows. You don't have to, but I do. So let's get started, shall we? The first thing you're going to want to do is create a new project, and the project corresponds with each lab that you do every week. So go to File, go to New, and then Java Project. And we're going to call this project name. We're going to just call it Lab 1 because it's the first lab. And you can keep all of these as default values and just go to Finish. And you'll notice a lab in the Package Explorer will come up. And the lab has some directories such as source, and that's where all of your source files are going to go for this week's lab. So let's get started on that. Right on the first exercise, we have the following. Use Eclipse to write and execute the following class. So this is the Hello World application that we saw earlier in the lecture, public class Hello World app. And it has a bracket and then public static void main strings, and it inputs an array of arguments, and it has a system.out.println which prints out hello world, and then we have some brackets to close it. So let's try writing that in Eclipse. It's really easy. So the first thing we're going to need to do is create a class called Hello World Application. So going to Eclipse, the way that we create a class is by right-clicking on Source, going to New, and then going to Class here. There's a lot of things, but you want to click on Class, and it'll come up with a dialog box with many things. The most important thing is here. What's the name of the class? And so it's Hello World Application. And clicking on Finish, it'll come up with this as you can see, hello world application.java, which is the file that stores the class hello world application. And as we saw in the lecture, it's quite easy to write this application. We go public static void main string arguments as an array. We press enter and we have open and close brackets. And then we type in system.out.println. And we can enter in a string here, string of characters, hello world. And that's it. So what does this do? Let's go back here. So here we have the public class hello world application, and we want to execute it. We want to run it so that we can see the output at the bottom of the screen in Eclipse, hello world. So let's try that. The way that we execute code in Eclipse is by pressing this button here. It's the run button. It looks like a little play symbol, and you can click that. It's going to ask you to select resources to save, and I always save the resources before launching, so it doesn't ask me again. Click OK. We run it, and quite predictably, it outputs hello world into the console. So a little tab comes up, and hello world is printed in the console. That's the sort of thing that the user would see if they were to run this program. All right, so that's the first exercise. Let's move on. Well, the next exercise, we're going to get right into objects right away. So use Eclipse to create a new class and write the following simple program which asks the user to enter their name. Run the program. So it asks the user to enter their name. It actually prints it out as well. So what's the name of the class that we're going to use? It's going to be public class greeting application. And it's going to have the identical public static void main string args, and it's going to do a couple of things. The first thing it's going to do is create a scanner object. So the scanner object is stored in this variable called keyboard. And we create a new object using the keyword new. So here's the word new that creates a scanner object. And we give it a parameter called system.in, which corresponds to system input. That's not so important right now, as long as you remember to type this in. It then prints out system.out.println, what is your name? And then it prints out system.out hello, and then plus keyboard.nextLine. So a lot of this seems a little bit, maybe a little bit strange to you. So how do we use this scanner object? Where do we find out information about this? Well, what we can do is we can go to the Java docs. Now you can search for these on Google, or you can use the link that I used, but eventually you'll end up at a website in Oracle, Java SE7 docs API, etc. And this gives you information about the class scanner. So the first thing that you need to know is that it's located in a package called java.util, and the name of the class is scanner. And this gives you all sorts of information on how to use the methods or the functionality of scanner. Now it contains a lot of information that you don't need to memorize. You don't need to know this for an exam or anything like that. In fact, in exams and tests, I will give you all of this information that you would need to answer a question. So let's just go down and look at something in particular that I think we should look at, and it's called the next line method. So if you can't find it, it's right here, next line. And what this does is returns a string, and it will read in a line of text from the console. So let's use this information. We know that we have to import java.util, and it's called the scanner class, and we're going to use next line. So going back to the exercise, you can see how we use this information. We import java.util.scanner and call public class greetings application. So let's start with this exercise. So here we go, new. We right click on default package, go new, and class, and then type in greeting application and finish. So we want to use the scanner. So we import java.util.scanner like that. So that gives us all the information we need for using the scanner objects. Then we create a main method, public static void main string args. It's an array. And we have some brackets. So now we can type in, let's say we could type in scanner keyboard is equal to new scanner system.in. It's like that. Whoops. Like that. And then we type in system.out.println. What is your name? Whoops. Eclipse is being a little bit too helpful for me. Sorry about that. You probably won't see that dialog box. It just sometimes comes up for code completion. So what is your name? And we can just ask system.out.println hello, and we concatenate the input that the user types in. So in this case, it's going to be keyboard.next line. So that's it. So going back to the lab, it looks fairly similar. So let's try running it. Do you remember how to run things? Well, we go here and press play, which allows us to run greetings application.java, which stores the class greeting application. It saves it. And now it asks a question, what is your name? And now it's expecting an answer. So the actual user input comes from this here. We're asking the user to input a line of text. So let's say Ken. And then it outputs hello and the text that we entered, Ken. Now for the rest of the lab, you're going to have to input some numerical text and create a few other classes. I'm going to stop there. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you found it useful. I will see you in the labs this week and I'll see you in the lectures. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.